Mary Hott heard a West Virginia public radio show about the Whipple Company Store in Fayette County, West Virginia. This prompted her to want to know more. She's a singer-songwriter, so she wrote songs, recorded them, and created an album. She was interviewed. I heard this interview, which prompted me to want to know more. So I went down to the Whipple Company Store, took photographs, and I'm sharing those with you. Across the street is an interpretive site, and I photographed there also. In the description for this video, if you click on the down button, I have provided many links so that you can learn more about coal mining in West Virginia. The Whipple Company Store is part of the Coal Heritage Trail and part of the National Coal Heritage Area, and is across the street from an interpretive site. The Coal Heritage Trail lists over 20 locations where you can learn more about coal mining in West Virginia. Some of the sites include Ansted, Ashland, Beckley, Bluefield, Bramwell, Canyon Rim Visitor Center, Coalwood, Eccles, Fayetteville, Helen, Hinton, Itman, and Mullins, Kimball, Midland Trail, Mount Hope, Pineville, Princeton, Sandstone Visitor Center, Sophia, Thurmond, Twin Falls, Welch, and Whipple, which we've shown here, the Whipple Company Store. Community life in a coal camp. Coal companies often paid miners in scrip, a form of private money, each coal company issuing their own scrip, so that it would not be confused with American currency. Most of the coins had some sort of hole in the middle. Companies allowed miners to cut or draw scrip against completed work. Often, come payday, a miner would be scrip bound, meaning he owed his entire paycheck to the company and had to start again in debt. Local businesses, independent of the coal company, did take scrip, but usually at less than face value. In many coal camps, there were cash prizes for the best flower gardens, but vegetable gardens were illegal. Why? Vegetable gardens fed families during strikes, something mining companies wanted to avoid at all cost. Many miners' wives planted beautiful flower gardens by the house, but also secretly planted vegetables in the nearby woods. Church was an important part of the social fabric of a coal camp. There was a Presbyterian, Baptist, Methodist, and Catholic church, each one identified on its own hill. Methodist Church Hill, Presbyterian Church Hill, and so on. Coal miners worked Monday through Saturday and were expected to be in church on Sunday. The company store was the hub of the coal camp. Not only was it a commercial center selling everything from automobiles to zippers, it was the focus of social life and contained the post office, bank, doctor's office, and undertaker. The Whipple Company Store even had a ballroom upstairs for the elite of the community. Coalfield baseball was very popular. Every coal camp had its own baseball team, and competition was fierce. Miners who could play baseball were recruited and given work assignments above ground. There was a ball game every Sunday in season, and large crowds would gather to cheer for the home team. Some players even made it to the major leagues. Behind the Whipple Company Store was Ballpark Hill, the one ballpark for all 5 coal camps. Major league teams often played exhibition games in southern West Virginia after their season was complete. In fact, the Cincinnati Reds played Scarborough on October 10, 1908. The baseball diamond for the towns in the valley was in Whipple, but the Rialto Opera House and movie theater, which served the valley, was in Scarborough. In fact, the town of Scarborough outgrew other camps. Until 1930, it was an incorporated town with a jail, city hall, town marshal, brickyard, Chinese laundry, and bottling company. The Coal Barons. Samuel Dixon, Justice Collins. Dixon also owned railroads, including the White Oak Railroad, and newspapers in Charleston, Fayetteville, and Beckley. The Collins House in Bramwell, owned by Jarius Collins, brother of Justice Collins, and first accountant for Collins Colliery in Whipple. In the late 1800s, speculators, mining companies, and investors were attracted to the vast untapped seams of coal lying under the West Virginia mountains. The first coal operators created company towns or coal camps, where everything was controlled by the company. Miners paid rent for a company house, bought goods at the company store, were treated by the company doctor, and went to a church whose preacher was hired by the company. Some of these early captains of industry were patriarchal, treating the miners well. Others ruled with an iron fist. King Samuel Dixon was one of these. Dixon was one of the most well-known and controversial of the early coal barons. Born in Scarborough, England, he opened coal mines in West Virginia in 1893, including Scarborough, named for his birthplace, Carlisle, Oakwood, and Wingrove. In 1906, Dixon bought Whipple and several other mines and formed the New River Company, dominating the New River coalfield. The same year that Sam Dixon started mining, Justice Collins opened the mine at Whipple along with several other mines. He built identical company stores in all of his coal camps. The building standing behind you is the only one left. Collins is famous for saying that mine managers should strive for a judicious mixture of race and nationality groups, believing it would stop unionization. Sam Dixon and Justice Collins despised each other. Their feud is legendary, even coming to physical altercation. In 1906, Collins sold the Whipple mine to Dixon and left the area. Many of the coal barons in southern West Virginia gravitated to Bramwell, a small town in southern West Virginia near Bluefield. Bramwell was once considered the richest town in the U.S., with more millionaires per capita than any other town in the nation. The town prospered with Victorian mansions and a lavish social life. Today, Bramwell is on the National Register of Historic Places. The historic train depot is a visitor center and museum operated by the Coal Heritage Highway Authority. A walking tour of the town gives a glimpse of a bygone era. The White Oak Valley. Pioneers settled the White Oak Valley in the 1800s. In 1892, the mineral rights were sold, and the White Oak Fuel Company and the Whipple Colliery Company sunk 5 mine shafts at Whipple, Carlisle, Oakwood, Scarborough, and Wingrove. Each of the 5 coal camps operated as distinct towns, with its own company store and a one-room school for whites and another for blacks. By the 1920s, a consolidated school for whites was built near the Whipple Company Store, and 10 years later, a consolidated school for blacks was built in Gentrytown, an area independent of the coal camps. A baseball diamond behind the Whipple Company Store served all 5 coal camps. This map for the White Oak Valley shows Oakwood, Carlisle, Whipple, Gentrytown, Wingrove, and Scarborough. It also details and shows St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church, the Polish community, the African American community, the baseball diamond, the Whipple Company Store, the School for White Children, the School for Black Children, and the Rialto Movie Theater. Diversity in the coal fields. West Virginia in the late 1800s was sparsely populated and coal mines needed workers. To meet this demand, companies attracted African American coal miners from the South and workers from all over the world. The 1920 census of the 5 towns in the White Oak Valley show a significant number of African Americans and immigrants from the following countries: Poland, England, Austria, Bohemia, Germany, Spain, Canada, Syria, Lithuania, Russia, Hungary, Slovakia, Scotland, Ireland, Mexico, and Wales. Polish immigrants. The largest group of foreign-born immigrants in Whipple were from Poland, and they lived on what is known as Hunk Hill, adjacent to the Catholic Church. Between 1870 and 1914, more than 2.6 million people left Poland to pursue new economic opportunities in the U.S. and to escape political struggles and religious persecution in their homeland. A history mystery. The 1910 census shows a large number of Welsh and Italian residents, but by 1920 there were only 1 Welsh and 13 Italians. Scholars believe that the Welsh left West Virginia in the 1910s because the Union was stronger in other parts of the country. But why did the Italians leave the White Oak Valley? It is possible with the influx of Polish immigrants, the Catholic Church began to give Mass in Polish, and the Italians may have wanted to go to a place where there were more Italians, such as nearby Kilsyth. Who knows why the Italians left in large numbers? Disaster underground. Say a prayer for those who died in darkness, so we may enjoy the sunlight. This is the inscription on the Miners' Memorial in Whipple, erected by the Knights of Columbus. Picture of the miners at Oakwood Mine, Oakwood, West Virginia. Picture of Tipple at White Oak Fuel in Carlisle, West Virginia. The most dreaded sound in the coal camp was when the mine whistle blew without stopping. The mine whistle blew several times during the day, once early in the morning to awaken the miners, again when the workday began, and another when the shift ended. If the whistle blew any other time, it meant trouble in the mine. Women would drop whatever they were doing and run to the tipple to wait for news of their husbands. Coal mining has always been a dangerous job. Hazards on the job include roof falls, cave-ins, and kettle bottoms. Human-made dangers such as accidents with coal cars, and long-term injuries such as black lung. The most dreaded danger was the mine disaster, where multiple lives were lost in major mining accidents. Disaster struck the White Oak Valley on several occasions. On May 1, 1907, 16 men were killed in the Whipple mine, followed by later disasters at Carlisle in 1915 and Whipple in 1916. The New River Company mines of Stewart, Parrell, and Whipple, 124 men lost their lives in a span of 15 months in 1906 and 1907. 3 coroner juries convened to investigate the deaths in the 3 separate mine explosions. Sam Dixon, president of the New River Coal Company, an undisputed Republican boss of the county, selected all 15 members of the juries, and all 15 were coal company officials. In each case, the company was found not to be at fault. Coal miners refused to return to the mines of Stewart and Parrell, claiming the safety hazards had not been addressed. Rather than fix the dangers, Dixon solved the problem by changing the names of the mines to Lochgelly and Summerlee. Labor strikes and conflicts. The United Mine Workers of America sought to protect coal miners and began to agitate for better working conditions throughout the nation. But it was difficult to organize the West Virginia Miners Union because of the ultimate control the company wielded. Coal operators did all they could to keep the union out. Hiring the ruthless Baldwin Felts Detective Agency, the company encouraged these hired gunmen to rule with force and brutality. The 1912 to 1913 Cabin Creek, Paint Creek strike began the first major conflict of the West Virginia mine wars. If you look to your right towards Carlisle, the Paint Creek watershed is just a mile or so down the road. This 2-year conflict was fought for wage increases as well as the end of the use of mine guards, blacklisting, and the denial of workers' rights to free speech and assembly. Over 2 years, bloodshed mounted until Governor Henry Hatfield forced a settlement, giving the miners a wage increase and the right to unionize, but not eliminating the dreaded mine guard system. Although this strike was settled, dissatisfaction continued until the 1921 Miners' March and the Battle of Blair Mountain in Logan County. Labor strikes and agitation continued through the decades as unions fought to improve conditions for coal miners and their families. Mary Harris Jones, known to the miners as Mother Jones. Mother Jones was a passionate and fiery orator. This feisty Irishwoman began her union organizing career at the age of 60. An organizer for the UMWA, Mother Jones paid particular attention to West Virginia, promising that when she died she would tell God about medieval West Virginia. During the 1912 to 13 Cabin Creek, Paint Creek strike, the miners asked for her by name, and she played an active role in the strike. She was jailed in 1913 and placed under house arrest in Pratt, a town further up Paint Creek. After the Paint Creek Cabin Creek strike was resolved, Mother Jones continued to work for coal miners' rights throughout West Virginia and the nation. The Whipple Company Store. The Whipple Company Store was as much a fortress as a store. The rounded entrance, designed to simulate the portal of a mine, secretly provided the Baldwin Felts guards a hiding place on either side of the entrance. The central plate glass window was a reflecting surface, alerting the hidden guards of who was approaching. The building's original steps were narrow and had no handrail, requiring those who ascended to come up sideways, slowing them down. Inside, the guards had other advantages. The acoustics were manipulated in such a way that all sound was directed from the outer walls to the center of the main building, so that anyone standing in that central spot could hear anything said in the building. Stand inside the center of the building and listen to how well you can hear voices in the large room. A history mystery. The Whipple Company Store is indeed an imposing structure, and it contains some mysterious aspects. There is a secret second floor in the building, which has no windows and only 5-foot-high ceilings. It was used to house coffins until the 1930s. It cannot be seen from the outside of the building. Other items in the building will be sure to pique your curiosity. If you look carefully on the wall of the stairway, there is a gray rectangle. Interestingly, when photographed, an image appears in the picture that is unseen just looking at the wall. Upstairs in the endowment room, there are 2 pieces of wood set in the floor. Every other piece of wood is one long length, but these 2 pieces were set in with wooden nails. When removed, a tintype of a little girl who died in the room was found. Why was it there? All these things and more can be found in a tour of the building. Why were they there? Learn more. Check out the website at www.coalheritage.org. Also, in the description of this video, there's a down arrow that you can click on, and I have provided additional links so that you can learn more information about coal mining in West Virginia.